Hello guys and welcome back to Haymanager with me, Alex, and today an interesting video. I'm bringing back tactical transfers. This time it's Manchester United's January transfer window. Now I want to get straight into the action, so we'll just kick it off straight away with talking about Rangnick's side. So we'll get the side up on the screen now. Let's have a very quick look at it. It's going to be an interesting one because you've got to try and compare this side with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side, which was very different tactically, but in essence, it's the same type of player. So in that, De Gea, because Rangnick plays this 4-2-2-2 formation, so it's De Gea, Shaw, I've got the strongest side out anyway, Shaw, Varane, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, Fred and McTominay in that midfield pivot, with then Fernandes on the left, Sancho on the right, because they do play attacking midfielders, which is why I'd probably be more reliant to pick Fernandes as a left attacking mid than Rashford, for example, and Ronaldo and Greenwood up top, purely because I think they're the best two strikers at the club. Cavani could slip into that Greenwood role, but I just don't think he's got that little bit more than Greenwood. I think Greenwood's just a better finisher overall. We'll start off by picking off into the different type. I've got a few graphics as well to show you the different types of players that we've got on this side. So Rangnick, he likes to play this 4-2-2-2 because there's a lot of the lines going across. So you've got your two centre backs, then you've got the wing backs level, different levels should I say anyway, the centre mid level, the attacking mids level, and the striker level, so they can sort of bounce off each other. We've seen Fred and McTominay play very poorly in the midfield, which is probably the biggest place where United are getting criticised at the moment with this midfield. Sort of this is a really lacklustre midfield, should I say, and then you've got the wing backs as well, which is up for debate. So in net, I've got to stick it out with De Gea. De Gea for me has been fantastic for us so far. There's you can't really criticise De Gea for his form. We've then got to talk about the right wing back position. It's got to be Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The discussion has to be had. Now, I've got the stats on the screen for you here. So he's played 15 games, 0 assists, which is difficult for a modern day wing back to be talked about having 0 assists. But in essence, the 74 progressive carries isn't too bad. He likes to bring the ball forward. The passing is a bit of an issue. The dribbling, not so much. I think the dribbling's fine. There's nothing wrong with him there. Tackles wise and pressures, I think pressures is so low in the league, as you can see, joint 148th in the league this season, 154 pressures. He just doesn't have that natural intelligence of the game to know when to run forward, when to recover the ball, when to come back. Bits like that where he just doesn't know when to push out, and he often leaves his man, the left winger, just to have a lot of space, which he can regain with his pace. You've seen his tackling ability is insane. Not going to try and knock his ability as a defender, because as a defender, very, very good, but for this side that Rangnick's trying to build, you need to be better than just a defender. You need to be a wing back, a proper wing back, born and bred. But to me, this role can be fixed if you bring in a central midfielder. If you remember the times under Alex Ferguson when you had like either an Anderson or a Fletcher or a Carrick and a Scholes. I know it's hard to describe a Scholes or a Carrick now with the type of midfielders we've got, but a player that likes to drop deep, a deep-lying playmaker if you wish, who knows how to hold the ball, who can then play the ball out, will make space to receive the ball, which is in essence what United need at the moment. A player that can do that, be it like a Ruben Neves would be ideal, but I don't think he fits the United system, should I say, with how he plays. Wan-Bissaka needs that's someone who's going to be able to pick up the ball and play a progressive pass. He needs it desperately, and McTominay does it a little bit, but he's just not. He's not on the ball as much, which is what we need to try and fix. But for now, Wan-Bissaka is a good investment. I think if we bring in a midfielder, I'd love to see how he progresses with that. If he gets a reliant right attacking midfielder partner, we need to see how that progresses. But then we'll go into the right centre-back role, and it's something I want to talk about. It's between Harry Maguire and Sven Botman. For me, Sven Botman, a player who's getting eyed up by Newcastle. He won the League 1 with Lille last season. 22 years of age, an impressionable player who can then be adapted to this new system under Rangnick, who we need someone who's going to be able to come in and do that. Now, if you compare the stats here, if you compare straight up Maguire, Botman, matches played, Botman comes out on top. It's weird. 18 tackles in the 12 games, 26 blocks in the 12 games. Maguire beats him in clearances, but it's a different type of play that you're going to be talking about there. But then aerial battles won, which is arguably Harry Maguire's game. The reason we paid such a big fee for him after that massive Euros or World Cup display. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was World Cup display now. Botman comes out on top. Now, I know it's different opposition. I know the Premier League's a bit more physical. But for me, Botman just sort of edges it a bit more over Maguire. just that tiny bit more. So for me, Botman has to come in. He has to be an additional option. Bay isn't consistent enough. That's the word I was looking for. Consistent. We saw Solskjaer try to use him. I think he used him in a Champions League game against Villarreal or something or other. Played a really good game there. You thought, flipping it, here we go. Bay's coming to life again. Straight in against that Manchester derby when you thought he's having a decent game. Scores an own goal. It just doesn't happen for Bay. Injury prone. Phil Jones has come back into the side. He looks like a good little rotational option. Tuanzebe's been loaned out. Menge's been loaned out. We're lacking strong centre-backs and an option. Lindelof as well, someone you can't forget about. But for me, Maguire has to fight for his place now with Botman. Then Lindelof is Varane's backup, and you sort of swap between those four centre-backs. You need that, and then Phil Jones can come in when there's injuries here and there. Obviously, we've seen Varane get injured, Maguire getting injured. It just happens. So I'd like to see Botman come in, maybe replace Maguire in the long term, but we'll see what happens there. But for me, Botman has to be a signing of filling that Maguire role for now. Then we'll talk about the two central midfielders. Two very key positions here, very key positions for this Rangnick system, because this is the box-to-box midfielder, this is your ball-winning midfielder, this is your playmaker, this is everything all in one position, the two positions, should I say. So Scott McTominay, we'll compare him with Haidara, who is one of Rangnick's ex-players, would you call him, as he was at Leipzig for a while, sort of brought them up and put the system in place for them to be a very top tier type of team in the Bundesliga, now sitting in 10th sadly, which is quite ironic I think. But Haidara, a player that, do we think we should bring him in? Yes. Do I think we should pay big money for him? No. I think we need another midfielder, someone who can bounce off, someone who can rely on. We've seen McTominay be played 3 times in 10 days, which makes 0 sense when you've got Donny van der Beek in the side, who's a very good ball retaining player, retention player, someone who keeps the ball, passes off small little passes, can play a through ball. We've seen him do it time and time again. McTominay can also do that, but just doesn't have that finishing touch, that decision, that final pass. But for me, he still needs to be in the side. He still needs to be a backup option. McTominay, for me, has always been a backup option. I saw him come through the academy. I love this idea of having Jimmy Garner or McTominay on the bench who can come in and play a backup game if we need him to. It's much like the Darren Fletchers back in the day, a Park Ji-sung who was an unsung hero. Anderson was a very good player, but also was a backup to Carrick and Scholes. Just that type of player that can come in as a bit of rotation, a rotation player. That's what you need. And I think Haidara comes in and fits the bill yet again as well. I think he's not played as well this season, but as a young player for a decent amount of money, he can come in. But then we compare it as well. We compare Fred to someone who I've personally picked out, Frank Kessey. Now his contract runs out in, I think it's June or July next year. So he's got less than a year left on his contract. Played fantastically for AC Milan. 5 goals in 16 appearances in the Serie A. Great amount of key passes you can see here, 16 key passes. Pressures not so much, but the intercept, this is what gets me. Fred's pressures, as much as he presses a lot, never really end with him tackling or intercepting the ball as much as you'd assume. He presses a lot, which is great, but he needs to be winning the ball. As you can see here, Frank Kessey, 204 pressures, which is 136 less than Fred, but only 5 less interceptions. It's more about efficiency, which is what Rangnick's trying to do. I think Frank Kessey's fantastic. The final pass, he got a good amount of key passes, 5 goals to his name, in only one more game he's played than Fred, where Fred's only got 3 goal contributions to compare to Kessey's 5. I think Kessey is probably the way forward for United. Not a star talent, but an elite talent you're bringing in who can play that midfielder role, who then when you're looking to get a DM next year, or a defensive midfielder, be it Rice or Tuchemi from Monaco, you're looking for a good option at defensive midfielder role. Kessey can maybe play that role, but to me, for now, Kessey is the one that we need to sign. He will partner McTominay for now, and then you get the rotation through with Fred or someone else of the like. I mean, it's got to happen for me, otherwise we're really risking ourselves not having an efficient midfield. Then, right wing, or right attacking mid as we like it, Jadon Sancho. Now, I wanted to highlight this because this is one of the things I think we need to rate a bit higher in the modern day game. We talk about pressures, we talk about stats, we talk about things like this. Matches played 16, not ranked too high as we see. Goals 1, he's got that goal against Chelsea, 115th he's ranked there. He's got no assists. which I've not put a ranking. Key passes, 21. Now, this is improving. You're looking at joint 44th in the league. You think, key passes, that's a lot of key passes, 21 for a season. Shot creating actions, which involves the likes of dribbling, passing, crosses, shot creating actions that lead to crosses. Actions that lead to shots, should I say, sorry. Per 90, 4.09. Bruno Fernandes, I think he's on 5.16. And in below that, De Bruyne. Above that, I think Trent is on a very stupidly high number. You're looking at Trent and then Fernandes, then De Bruyne. You look at all the high quality players below that. Sancho, joint 14th. He's creating shots. He's doing what needs to be done as a right attacking mid, a right winger, a left winger, wherever he plays, to be efficient and create shots, which is why we brought him in. He is not a problem. Jadon Sancho is a guy who's very good at doing what he does. I think we need to keep him in that attacking mid role on that right-hand side. And then up front, I've highlighted his stats for now, purely to show you what I think. So Ronaldo, 16 matches played, 109th in the league. He's played all 16 games since he joined, I think, or bar one. I think we've played 20 so far. I'm not entirely sure. He's played all the games that he could have, bar one for now. 8 goals, which is pretty decent. 4th in the league. 3 assists, 21st in the league. This is where he gets me. Goal creating actions. This is a big one for me. I really love this stat. Goal creating actions per 90. 0.42. So you're looking at how many times creates a goal. So it's comparable to goals per 90, but these are goal creating actions. So you look at the goals and assists per 90, per how efficient he's been throughout the amount of minutes he's played. 0.42, which is joint 86th in the league, which is relatively high. If you look at all the other strikers in the league, it's quite difficult to be goal creating actions because you're looking at maybe getting assists and goals. Greenwood is on 0.64, I want to say, which is, when you're looking at 1 being the high point, 0 being the low point, and anywhere in between that, he's looking at like 20% of an overall higher than Ronaldo, which is mental. The amount of assists and little actions that Greenwood does, which leads to goals. So it can be a key pass, which then gets passed across, and then a cross, and then a goal, because it's an action that leads to a goal. Greenwood's way up there. He's involved with a lot of goals, Greenwood, which is why I rate Greenwood so high compared to Ronaldo. Ronaldo, one of the best we've ever seen, but getting on. I think it's obvious with his age, but he's getting on. We need to make room for the players that are for the future of the team. Ronaldo partnering them would be nice. Ronaldo with a Greenwood link-up, sensational. So that's the side for me. So we'll start from the back. We'll go De Gea. For me, Shaw keeps his place because it's obvious he just had a blip in form. Varane in there with Botman. So Varane-Botman, I think, is a nice little partnership. We've got a nice amount of pace, nice amount of aerial ability, good amount of knowledge, an older player with a much more experience, with a player who's very malleable, who can be moulded to play a system. And then Wan-Bissaka has to sit there for now because Dallow's just not good enough, in my opinion, at all defensively. Then in the midfield, we play Kessey with McTominay. I think that's a nice mix. You've got a physical midfield then, one that looks very strong. You look at the likes of Essien, Ballack, players like that who are physical, but obviously a lot better, a way better. Essien was miles better than what Frank Kessey is at the moment. And then you look at Ballack, who's just a star-studded player compared to McTominay. But you look at those Chelsea sides that were physical, you want to try and build that for a box-to-box midfielder roles. Then Fernandes on the left because he's our creative outlet, with Sancho, who's great at that SCA, the shot creating actions statistic for me if you want to involve that. Ronaldo up front because he's still the star-studded player. Then Greenwood, who can leech off him a little bit, do a bit more of the running that Ronaldo doesn't really do as much of. But then you've got Ronaldo sitting on the shoulder with Greenwood dropping a bit deeper, who can make them runs in behind. I think it just works. I think for the Rangnick system, that'd work. And it just looks like a majorly overhauled, improved side, and something structurally sound that you just need to get into the side at one point. So yeah, that for me is how United should line up, with a few tactical transfers. So I hope you've enjoyed the comeback of this series, of this video concept. I hope you like how I've sort of refined it a little bit, makes it a bit more nicer on the eye to see the stats I'd rather have a little face in the bottom right as you look at the big stats in the background, in the foreground, should I say. So yeah, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you are new, and hopefully I can make a few more bits of content for you if I find the time. So yeah, thanks for watching, have a great day, and I hope you're all well. From me, Alex, see you later. Ciao.